Hey everybody, welcome back to the Kitplane Enthusiast YouTube channel. I'm Mark Penstabler. This is another update video on my Zenith Cruzer, and it's a whole bunch of little things that I've been getting done. I didn't film a whole lot of the actual work that I'm doing, just because I want to come in the hangar and I want to work and I want to get things done, and playing around with the camera actually adds a lot of time. But a lot of what I'm going to show you in this video is, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and then in the next shot it'll probably be done. But anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, the first thing I'm working on here is the oil access door. And this square piece of aluminum is going to be the piece that goes under the top cowling that will create the lip for the oil door. So I cut it out, filed the edges clean, and I'm just using the Scotch-Brite wheel to clean up the edges. And then on all four corners, I used this big unibit to get a rounded edge on the inside corners. I have the cowling sitting on a workbench, and I have these little blocks screwed to the workbench, and it just keeps the same curve of the top cowl as it would have when it's on the airplane. Well, I'll have more on the oil door later, but I moved on to these fuel caps, and like a lot of people are doing, I plugged up the vents on my fuel tanks, and I'm going to vent the fuel caps. After I took them apart, I tapped out the lock. I don't really need locking fuel caps. That comes out pretty easy. Then I bought this 1/8 inch NPT tap that I will tap the cap with here, as you can see. And it's plastic, so it's pretty easy. I just have a vice grip tool on the end of this because I don't have the proper holder for that tap. But it's fairly easy to do since it's just plastic. The trick is you want to make sure you get it straight if you're going to do this. Once I removed it, I just use this little brush to get rid of all the little shavings. And then this brass piece just screws into the cap. Doesn't have to be super tight, but just tight enough to where it's not going to leak or come out. And then once you get that in, you can reassemble your fuel cap. Well, once that's done, I put the fuel cap back in the wing, and the next step is to take this 1/4 inch aluminum tube, straighten it out as much as possible, and I will make the vents. I just cut off the very end that I couldn't straighten. Then I filed it and cleaned it up so this end is nice and clean and ready to go. Then I just found something that had about the right curve that I wanted, which is about maybe 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches or so. Put it in a vise and bent the tube around this tool here to get the curve in the tubing. And then just cut it to the length I needed. I used some flits to polish it up, and you can see the difference it makes right on the shiny part here, and you can see the top round part I didn't shine up yet. So it does make a difference. It makes it look nicer. Once that little piece is done, put it in the brass part, tighten it up, and then this is just finger tight, but you'll want to tighten it up with some tools. Then I made these fuel stickers or fuel placards. They look pretty good on the wing. Anyway, they look pretty nice. The next step I really wanted to get done was this cowling. You can see how terrible it fits. The top doesn't fit to the bottom really at all. It overhangs by quite a bit. So there's a lot of filling that needs to be done. So I asked my neighbor, who's a velocity builder and kind of an expert on fiberglass, how to do this. And we mixed up some resin and put micro balloons in it and spread it on here nice and thick. And it was just a matter of sanding it down to match and get a nice curve and I guess match the top of the top cowling. It was a lot of work. It probably took hours and hours of sanding, but this is what it looks like after it's sanded. There's still a little bit of touch-up work I have to do after I remove the cowling because just the engine is in the way. But after I did that, you can see how nice it looks. I sprayed some of the filler primer on it, and still a few spots I need to touch up, but it really, really looks nice. The front end kind of matches now. You can see how bad in this picture it was in the beginning. See how the top overhangs the bottom. In fact, this part right here is the worst part on the left side there. But here it is done. Everything kind of matches now, and I think it'll look a lot better once it's painted and it's just even. Moving on to the engine baffles. I removed the baffles. I didn't really have to remove them to rivet these parts on, but I wanted to paint the front end black. So anyway, I disconnected everything, removed these baffles from the engine, riveted on all these pieces you can see here. There's a bottom left and right piece that goes on. And then once you can see here, I painted the front black. And once that was done, I reinstalled the baffle. And the reason I painted it black is just because I think when you look in the intake, seeing it black looks a lot better than just bare aluminum. I think the bare aluminum just looks unfinished. So I like how it looks black. But to connect this back up, I just there's 2 screws here that hold the baffling on. And then once those were in, I put in this cylinder head temperature thingamabobby, and then this is the probe that just gets put in with a 1/4 turn. So these are all connected back up. The clamps here that hold these to the baffle I had to remove, obviously, to remove the baffle. So I just put the screws back in with the clamps. And then instead of riveting the baffling in like you're kind of supposed to, I use screws. So I use the screws for the baffling. And then also this nylon piece that holds the ignition wire was also riveted, and I had to drill out the rivets to remove this, to remove the baffling. So I figured if I ever have to remove this again, why rivet it? I might as well just put screws in it, so it's a lot easier to take off if I ever need to. Then I added this little 1-inch hose here. This is for the regulator rectifier cooler, or cooling. So that little thing was put onto the back of the baffle, then I ran the hose. And then where the hose goes over the engine mount here, I will secure that so the hose isn't just flopping around and rubbing on the engine mount. That's just something I have to do yet that I didn't get around to doing. Now, this is just a shot I took with the top cowling put back on. And again, you can see how nice that looks with the baffling painted black instead of just bare aluminum. Like I said, I really didn't like the look of bare aluminum. To me, it just kind of looked like it was unfinished. So it looks real nice black. You can't even see it really. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you that I'm working on is the nose wheel pant. These are the brackets for those wheel pants. So these are the 2 brackets, one for the left side, one for the right side. And if you can see in here, I've already drilled these for the nut plates, and I've dimpled, or not dimpled, but countersunk the 2 holes for the nut plate rivets. So the next step is just to rivet on these 2 nut plates. All right, so here they are, all done. I've put a nut plate on the back. I use flush rivets on the front so this can sit up flat against the inside of the wheel pant. And you may not be able to tell on the screen, but on this section here, where it does sit on the inside fiberglass of the wheel pant, I've put on a piece of this. I don't even know what it is or where I got it, but it's a real thick, almost like kind of a gel tape. But it's real nice for for protecting the surface on here. And these will probably wind up getting scratched up a little bit because it's on the landing gear. But where this surface here sits on the fiberglass, it'll just help protect the paint a little bit on there. Now the way I mounted these on the gear, I already had these two bolts here holding these two aluminum pieces together. So instead of drilling more holes up here or whatever, I just mounted the bracket in those same holes. And you'll see in just a minute what it looks like when the wheel pant is on. Well, here's what it looks like installed. That bracket is behind here, and I have these two screws holding the wheel pant on. What I want to do yet is I don't like the big gap up here. I might make a fiberglass piece that kind of tops this up here. The other thing I'd like to do is make a fiberglass kind of bump that goes over this to cover all that up. And what I do is if I make it, I just make it so it screws on so that I can unscrew it to help take the wheel pants off. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. I want to, but you know, it's going to add a lot of time to the build. Just like making a piece for up here will add time, but it will look a lot better having this kind of finished off on the top. We'll see. The airplane is starting to look nice though. The propeller is back on, the cowling's almost done. Nose wheel pant is on. I still have to figure out how to mount the main wheel pants. But all in all, it's coming down to the end. Just a few little details left to do, and she will be flying. Alright everybody, thanks for watching the update video. That's all I have for you right now. I am going to get back to building. And if you would subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate it. If you give the video a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you ever wonder why people always want you to leave a comment or leave a thumbs up, it's because when a video gets engagement with a thumbs up or a subscribe or whatever, the YouTube algorithm, however magical way that works, it helps promote the channel and the videos. And that's why I always ask for a thumbs up. You could thumbs down it if you want, I really don't care. As long as the video gets some engagement, YouTube does help to promote this channel. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next video.